Here we go again. Now, as I read Whitehead, I get lost. Not only felt confused by his classification of physical pole and mental pole, but also developed doubts about the entire enterprise of philosophical thinking. It seemed that philosophers' focus was never on trying to make the world understandable to everyone, but rather on criticizing other philosophers or philosophical ideas. I don't know if this is a tradition, but I can vaguely understand this practice. It's like the evolution of a biosphere, where ideas advance through mutual debate and revision. Even so, I still couldn't bring myself to force my understanding of the world into any established classification system. Doing so always made me feel uneasy, because one would gradually get lost in those logically consistent yet extremely complex analyses, like trying to see the entire ocean from the shore, only to crawl into the belly of a whale and be left staring at the darkness in front of you. I couldn't help but wonder if we could jump out of this classificatory thinking and look at the world in a more direct way. Wouldn't it be clearer and more understandable? This confusion was actually connected to the question I first had when reading Max Muller. Why do humans insist on pursuing and understanding the infinite, and even believe they can perceive this infinite? Yet this perception never seems to be constrained by sensory experience or rational logic. It's more like an instinctive impulse, an indescribable longing. With this question in mind, I increasingly felt that the essence of the universe shouldn't be split into two poles or multiple categories, but should stem from the most fundamental relationships. What follows is a collection of my personal thoughts and insights, which I call RWT, just fragments of my reflections that I want to record. We don't need to split real materials and abstract possibilities into two separate poles at all, because what we call solid objects are nothing more than self-reinforcing, stable, and tight patterns within a network of relationships, while abstract ideas are just loose, unconsolidated patterns in that same network. Just as an idea manifests in the brain as specific neural firing relationships, quantum fluctuations in a vacuum are merely temporary dense intersections in the relationship network. Everything is a dynamic change of relationships, requiring no additional classifications to explain. Following this line of thought, I further pondered the starting point of existence. If there is no existence without relationships, where does the initial pure potential, the chaotic relationship network, come from? In fact, the key to this question is that relationships themselves are the foundation of existence. There is no paradox of something existing before relationships. Just as a spider web doesn't require a spider existing before silk, the spider itself is a stable collection of relationships, composed of cells and molecules, and the silk is a new carrier of relationships derived from that collection. At the smallest quantum scale, the so-called pure potential is the chaotic relationship network in its loosest, most unstructured state. It has no direct physical form, yet it generates tiny differences through spontaneous fluctuations. These are the initial relationship changes. Later, these differences interact and reinforce each other, gradually forming particles, objects, life, and all the existences we can perceive. What's more, this process forms a closed loop. Existence feeds back into new potential. All stable existences, whether physical objects or abstract ideas, become new relationship materials. They merge back into the original chaotic relationship network, the source of pure potential, providing the foundation for the next round of fluctuations and the birth of new existences. This is the eternal dynamism of relationships. In my RWT, potential gives rise to differences. Differences form existence, and existence returns to potential or becomes part of new potential, creating an unending recursive cycle. This also explains humans' perception of and longing for the infinite. The reason we can reach the infinite lies in two essential ways. First, through rational reasoning, we touch the chaotic relationship network that is the root of everything. It contains all possibilities and has no boundaries, which is the background of infinity. Second, through imagination, we expand the future reachable by existing relationship patterns. This reminds me of the dream I always had as a child. I could control myself to fly in my dream. trying to break through the atmosphere and even the universe, but I couldn't imagine what lay beyond the universe. And then I woke up. Because beyond the universe lies outside the scope of existing relationship patterns, and this impulse to break through is precisely the instinctive perception of the network's generativity. As part of the relationship network, we are inevitably confined by its boundaries, unable to perceive what lies outside, yet at the same time, we can clearly sense the network's generativity. It is always fluctuating and creating new relationship patterns. This contradiction between confinement and perception gives rise to humans' longing to break boundaries. And this longing is essentially the self-manifestation of the universe's own generative potential. The universe's chaotic relationship network inherently possesses the instinct to continuously generate new relationships and patterns. And this instinct is reflected through us creatures in the network becoming the pursuit of infinity and the longing for breakthrough. Relationships are the only foundation of existence, and generation is the inherent nature of relationships. Our perception of infinity is a touch of the relationship foundation. Infinite potential, our longing for breakthrough, is a response to the nature of generation. Infinite momentum. Each of us is a vivid embodiment of the universe's primal force to generate and break through. Okay, that's just today's note.